and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my Year 6 ClearUrShit TBR. So if you're unfamiliar with ClearUrShit, it is a readathon dedicated to reading the books that you already own. And as many of you probably already know, I have been working on reading down my own TBR all year. I started this year out with over 340 books on my TBR, so I am really excited for this readathon. I really need to make progress on all of the books that I own, specifically my physical TBR. So the majority of these books are going to be books off of my physical TBR, although a few of them will be like ebooks and audiobooks as well. But I absolutely love this readathon. Obviously, I do have merch from this readathon. I've participated in it every single year. The main readathon runs from November 1st to the end of December, so it is a long 2-month readathon. And there are prompts, so let's just jump into them. So the first prompt is to read the book most recently added to your TBR, and for me that is going to be People Watching. I recently hauled this book in my last video, so I will have that linked, but this one I am so excited to read, and I feel like it fits the vibes of November perfectly. It's a fall book, and I absolutely adore Hannah Bonham Young's writing, so I'm really excited to get into this one. The next prompt is to read a children's or middle grade book, or a book that has a child in it, and for that I'm going to be reading Keeper. This is the only sort of children's or middle grade book that I have on my TBR. And it is following our main character Keeper, who is going out to look for her mother, who is a mermaid, and that's all I really know about it, but I'm really excited to finally get around to reading this one. The next prompt is to read a book with a potentially intimidating or scary character in it, and for that one I'm going to be reading The Shining by Stephen King. I have picked up this book so many times and I've just never gotten further in it. The last time I picked it up, because I still have the bookmark, I only made it 38 pages into it, but I have owned this book for so many years now, and I finally just want to go ahead and get this one off my TBR. Prompt number 4 is to read a book where someone goes on a journey, and for that one I'm going to be reading Katabasis by R. Kwong. This book is following two college students who end up traveling to hell to save their professor, and I absolutely adore R. Kwong. I've read all of her books and I cannot wait to get around to this one. Prompt number 5 is to read a book where the title starts with the letter T, and for that one I'm going to be reading Three Women. This one is a nonfiction book following 3 women in their sex lives. It is a feminist work of art. I've seen this on so many different feminist lists of like required reading, and so I've had this one on my shelves for a while and I just really need to get around to reading it. Next prompt is a free space, and for this one I'm going with the audiobook I have of Good Spirits. This one is a holiday romance book. So this is one I will probably read in December and like the later half of this readathon, but I am really excited for this one. I've heard so many great reviews of it already and it makes me really excited, and it just sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun and like perfect for the holiday season, so I'm really excited for that one. The next prompt is to read a book with magical elements in it, and for that one I'm going with Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is one that has been on my TBR for a while now as well, and I believe it is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, so I know it's going to have some sort of magical element in it, but I really want to get around to this one. I've heard so many great things about this author and I just really need to try out their books, so hopefully I end up really loving this one. Then for the prompt of reading a book with gold on the cover, I have Transcendent Kingdom. This is another super popular book. I believe this book is following a family of immigrants who are dealing with depression and addiction, and our main character specifically is a PhD student who's trying to study these things to help her family, and she ends up having to grapple with her relationship with the church. Since she is a scientist, she's grappling with all of these things, and it just sounds like a very hard-hitting book, so I'm very interested to see how this one goes. The next prompt is to read a book you keep putting off, and for that one I'm going to be reading Rebecca. This is a classic and I have put it on so many TBRs and it's just never one I gravitate towards picking up. I don't necessarily enjoy classics, but this is one that I feel like could really work for me, so I really want to give it a try, and I've had it on my TBR for so long I just really need to get around to reading it. The next prompt is to read a book set in another time, and for that I'm going to be reading 11/22/63. This is Stephen King's historical time traveling story, and it is also one I've had on my TBR forever. It is almost 900 pages, so it has constantly intimidated me. I've never wanted to try picking it up, and I just never know how this departure in his writing is going to work for me, so I've just been putting it off. I actually believe I've had this on a previous ClearUrShit TBR, honestly, and still never got around to it, but again, I'm determined to make this the year where I read down my TBR as much as possible, so this book needs to get read, and it fits perfectly with that prompt, so here's to hoping this one actually gets off my TBR this year. The next prompt is to read a book you keep forgetting that you have, and for that I'm going to go with Britt-Marie Was Here. I have read a couple other things by Frederick Bachman and absolutely adored them, but his books are really sad, and so I ended up getting this book somewhere, and I just never think about picking this book up. I always forget that I have it on my shelves, but I know that there's a strong chance I'm going to really enjoy this book. I just have a feeling it's going to make me cry, and so that has also put me off from reading this book, but I just know I'm really going to enjoy it, so here it is on my list. I cannot forget about it now, so hopefully I end up getting to this one. And the next prompt is a side quest, and that is to read a sapphic book, and for this one I'm going to be reading The Jasmine Throne. This is a high fantasy book that has a sapphic relationship at the forefront of it. I've heard so many great things about this one, and I believe the last book in the series just came out, so this is like the perfect time for me to actually read this book so I can binge the series, but I've heard so many great things about it, so I'm really excited to finally get around to this one. And the next prompt is to select a random book out of a selection of 5, and so you guys are just gonna have to trust me on this one. But I put in a selection of 5 random romance books that I was really in the mood to read, and I had a random number generator pick a number. And so the book that ended up winning that one is At First Bite by Olivia Dade. I really enjoy Olivia Dade's writing. I've read another book by her this year that I ended up giving 4 stars, but this author I have given 5 stars to in the past, so I'm really looking forward to getting to this one. I absolutely love Olivia Dade's humor, so I feel like this is going to be a very fun one. The next prompt is to read a book with a blue cover, and for that I'm going to be reading Sex Cult Nun. This is a book following the author's journey of breaking free from a very extremist religious cult. It is another one that I keep putting on TBRs and just never getting around to. I just feel like this is going to be a very heavy nonfiction book, although it is on a topic that I am interested in. I watch a lot of documentaries about religious cults, so I know that I'm going to enjoy this book. I just need to get around to reading it, and it does have a very blue cover, so it fits this prompt perfectly. The next prompt is to read a book that you think has an ugly cover, and for that one I'm going to be reading Outclassed. I don't think this cover is necessarily ugly, but I do think it is very plain and boring, and it is the most boring cover that I have on my shelves. So yeah, I'm going to be reading this one. It is an advanced reader's copy. It technically came out in May, and I'm just very behind on reading my arcs, so I definitely need to get around to this one. But it is on how the left lost the working class and how to win them back, so it is a very political nonfiction, but I'm very excited to finally get around to reading this one. The next prompt is to read a book with a strange animal or pet, and for this one I'm going to go with Full Moon Rising. This is a romance book between a human and a minotaur, and so I'm using that as a strange animal because I can. Here we have these nice end papers of the couple. I'm going to be reading this one for that prompt. I have been really looking forward to reading this book. I have read the Ice Planet Barbarian series. I never finished it, but I know I made it very far into the series. I was definitely past like the 10th book in that series. But I'm excited to try something else from Ruby Dixon. I have only read that Ice Planet Barbarian series, so I'm interested to see what she does. This one is more of a fantastical book. I know this one has a lot more of a plot that I have seen people talk about, so I'm very interested to see how this one ends up going. Then we have another free space. For this one, I'm going to be reading my ebook of The Roommate Risk. This one is by Talia Hibbert, and it is a romance book between this woman and this guy who end up becoming roommates because this woman, her previous apartment ends up flooding, so she has to go stay with this guy, and they end up falling in love. And I really enjoy Talia Hibbert's writing, so I'm very excited for this one. The next prompt is to read a book set in another world, and for that one I'm going to be reading Fevered Sun. This is book 2. Book 1 is Black Sun, which I read earlier this year and gave 5 stars, and I am so excited to finally jump into the second one in this series, but it is a fantasy book set in another world, so it fits this prompt perfectly. The next prompt is to read a book that you think narrator Ariadne or Hawthorne would like, and if you are new to this readathon, those are characters in like the readathon storyline. So for this one, I decided to go with Lovelight Farms. This is another holiday romance book. I definitely want to try to read my holiday romance books in December, get them off my TBR in the appropriate season. I believe I got this one last December and just never ended up getting around to reading it. So here's to hoping that I finally read it. The next prompt is to read a book that you haven't been able to fit into any of the previous prompts yet, and for that one I'm going to be going with The Wise Man's Fear. This one is book 2 in the Kingkiller's Chronicle. I absolutely adored The Name of the Wind, and I know that the series is not done and probably will never be done, but I loved book 1 so much and I really need to get around to reading book 2. However, it is another very chunky, intimidating book, and so I've just never gotten around to reading it, but again, trying to read all the books on my TBR. I've had this one for so long now and I just really need to read it and get it off my TBR. The next prompt is to read a book that you got for another readathon or challenge, and I'm going to go with Alchemised for this one. I do own the audiobook of this one, and I did not necessarily get it for a readathon or a challenge, but I have a friend who is obsessed with this book and wants to talk about it with me, so I specifically got it just to read it with her, so I'm very excited to give this one a try. I did add a book to my TBR, but I will definitely be getting it off, and yeah, very excited for this one. The next prompt is to read a book outside of your comfort zone or genre, and for that one I'm going to go with the Agathas. This one is a YA mystery. I don't tend to read YA and I don't tend to read mystery, so this one is very out of my comfort zone, but I was gifted this book, so I do want to give it a try. And yeah, I don't know too much about this one, but we shall see how it goes. The next prompt is probably the hardest one for me to find a book for, and that is to read a book published in your birth month. So I was born in July, and this one was just really hard because I was going through every single one of my own books and none of them were published in July, but I did end up finding Hamnet. This one, not my edition of it, but the original edition of this one was published in July, so I'm counting it, but I don't know anything about this book. I, again, don't even know when I got this book or why I have it, but I believe it is a literary fiction type of story, so this one is also a bit out of my comfort zone, but we shall see how it goes. And then we have another free space, and for this one I'm going to be reading my audiobook copy of Minor Detail. I don't know too much about this one, but I know it is set in Palestine and it is following 2 characters in 2 different timelines, and we get to see where they end up. I know this is a very hard-hitting story. It makes a lot of people cry. It's also a very short audiobook. I want to say it's only like 3 hours, so this is definitely one I can get through quickly, but I do know it is going to be very hard hitting, so I put this one on here. We're gonna see how it goes. But those are all of the prompts that are out so far. There are 3 other prompts that have not been released yet, and those are gonna be the 2 mini bosses and then the boss battle. Those prompts don't get released until like later on in the readathon. As the readathon goes on, there's prompts and storylines that get released each week, and so yeah, I can't really plan those ones out, but I'm very excited for those. I will be vlogging this whole experience, so stay tuned for that. But let me know if you guys are planning to participate in this readathon, because I absolutely adore this readathon, and I will have all of the information for the readathon linked in the description below if you want to go check it out and also participate. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is definitely a very long TBR, but I am very determined to get through all of these books, so thank you again for watching, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!